Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. We are about to live react to the Overwatch 2 Invasion Deep Dive stream. This is meant to contain information on the story missions, the co-op missions, the hero mastery stuff, and Flashpoint. Let's get into it. Let's do it.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Overwatch 2 Invasion Reveal stream. I'm your host for the day, Matt Mr. X, and we have so much exciting Overwatch 2 content to show you. And just a reminder that a lot of the stuff you're going to see today, some of it is finished, some of it is work in progress. So with that said and out of the way, with me today in our first segment from the Overwatch 2 development team, we have senior game producer Kim Horn and art director Dion Rogers. How are you guys doing today?
Good to see you again, man.
I know it's great. It's great. Me and Dion, we've been in a bunch of pieces together. Kim, we've talked for ages on Twitter. It's the first time I think we're meeting in person. It's great. And with you guys today, we're really gonna get into the invasion story and some of the PvE experiences people are going to have. So, Dion, we've actually signed you up as our lore expert.
Surprise!
Yeah, surprise. One of the biggest reveals, with the trailer and everything going on with Invasion is the story mission. So just give us a little bit of where are we in terms of the Overwatch story and where is the launching point for this?
Okay. Yeah, we have an amazing narrative team back at the office that helped put this stuff together. So speaking on behalf of their awesome work they've done, and Kim and I have been on this for a while. But basically these are cooperative missions that will finally move the story in the world of Overwatch forward. And so it takes place shortly after Winston's recall. Winston's been trying to get the old Overwatch agents back together. It's a bunch of bad things happening around the world.
That's not Rio.
He feels we need to get back together and
this is Gothenburg Blizzard.
Old friends get together and help solve these different problems that are happening around the world, especially Null Sector has returned.
Yeah, and it's interesting, I know when we were chatting, there's some heroes that, canonically in the story haven't met each other, right?
Actually, ladies and gentlemen, if you are absolutely starving, this is a real good segue into today's video sponsor. Check this out. Today's video is sponsored by Factor. And Factor, they produce pre-prepared chef quality meals that are ready to eat in under 2 minutes. And the thing is, they do them for every kind of possible diet. So you've got keto, low calorie, vegan, vegetarian lifestyle, they cover it all. Grab a prepared smoothie or keto shake for a quick snack, or heat and eat a chef quality meal in just 2 minutes with no prep or cleanup necessary, so we can stay focused on what matters to us, which is playing games and not actually cooking food. Forget takeout as well, because Factor delivers straight to your door and it is nutritious food. Factor helps you avoid fast food and ordering in, which we all fall into this category. We're all there, we've all done this before. But with this, you've got a no-nonsense, delicious food that's ready quickly. Factor's chef-prepared meals take the guesswork out of eating well, so you never have to opt for something that isn't good for you. Use my link or go to go.factor75.com and use the code POGSTYLOSA, JUN50 for 50% off your first box. Once you click, my description will live update to count up the purchases. Once again, guys, the code is on the screen. So if you go to factor75.com and use this code, you will get 50% off your first box. Thank you once again to Factor for sponsoring today's video.
Get to see some of these moments.
The proper canon for Overwatch, we're finally moving the story forward.
Oh, yeah.
And in this version of the
That
story,
looks sick.
this is the canon story. Lucio hasn't met Reinhardt yet, so you're going to learn exactly how these characters meet each other, what they've been up to while...
Okay, that's Torb's big turret, isn't it?
Happened.
Destroying the dropship.
Yeah.
It should be pretty interesting.
That's got to be so cool
It's a
for you
bit rough.
guys to be able to write and bring these moments to the game, right? How do you even start that whole process?
So part of it, we start to look at the heroes. There's some young heroes that never been in Overwatch before, and there's some older heroes that they've been there for a while, but they need some new blood to help deal with the these new enemies down the show. The invasion that's happening, basically.
Right.
I see you there, Kim.
I don't know what I was expecting there, like some sort of massive multi-level destruction on the building, but whatever.
Actually, how these characters met each other, or what they've been up to during the phase between.
This looks cool though. This looks like you fight this Titan boss though.
Yeah, so in terms of, we're able to see a lot of awesome footage here from Gothenburg, which is one of the invasion story missions. Kim, from being on the gameplay side of this, like how do you actually build out these story missions? What were some of the fun gameplay things you guys were able to play with?
Ooh, frost turrets. Okay,
a lot of these
okay.
were originally based on the PvP maps, and we decided as we were making our story missions that we had to make something a little more different, a little more fun for PvE. So you might recognize some of these maps, but it's in
what is that, like a
different area.
A boot bot?
Cool, we all know
What is that turret? Yeah, it's booping them.
PvP maps, but
Cool.
you're made them for like competitive, quick play purposes, where these have a completely different purpose, right? In terms of story missions. So when you guys kind of went back and looked at some of those areas, where were some of the things you wanted to expand on in terms of things you probably couldn't do with PvP?
Right. So we both wanted to balance gameplay choices versus what did we want to do with the story. So for example, Rio makes a great location because it's connected to one of our heroes, Lucio. And you get to witness how he feels to see an invasion happening in his hometown, basically.
Exactly.
But we also, each mission has a slight difference in gameplay that we wanted to achieve from a cooperative perspective. And so it meant we needed to build newer maps to really balance the gameplay, plus the story moments we wanted to tell.
Okay, this is Rio now.
There's a lot of different needs in PvE maps versus PvP. There's
This looks similar
like
to
a tunnel,
2019
which
when
would
I
be
played.
terrifying
Yeah.
in PvP, but you actually might want to duck in there to hide from it.
Looks identical.
Yeah, a tunnel in PvP. No, I'd be like, hey, don't put me in a tunnel in PvP. You got the Reinhardts with the shatters down there.
Right.
But I guess that allows you to kind of have some more fun, a little bit more creativity,
It's a
like
bit
with
more
different enemy
open,
types.
yeah. The levels are more vast. We're able to do things that just would make PvP imbalanced.
Exactly.
I mean, and they look incredible. I mean, just kind of seeing some of the footage here from Rio, just the lighting, and then this guy, I saw him in the trailer.
This is the one that charges, right?
Yeah, I mean, he looks tough. I can't imagine.
It's a pretty fun encounter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm super stoked to jump in and see some of these encounters.
That was
and
nice
different
animation.
types of things that you guys have. Kim, I gotta ask on the gameplay side, like, what was like the most fun part about being able to kind of craft into these story missions?
A lot of the fun, one of the most fun things, I think, is the dialogue in between the heroes. You get to know the heroes and their interactions a lot more. It's already a favorite thing of mine in PvP, but we really get to throw a lot more in PvE.
Yeah, you kind of hear like all the dialogue that goes on with like voice lines in the spawn room in PvP. So I mean, that's pretty cool in terms of PvE, in terms of getting more kind of story, a little bit more tidbits. In terms of level design, obviously you mentioned that the PvP spaces, some of these are based on, changed drastically. How big should we expect them? The different types of environments that you guys.
I've been in there before.
Oh, these are a lot bigger than our PvP maps. So. There's a ton of stuff to explore.
Way back in 2019.
But they're
Another lifetime ago.
bigger than
wow.
any PvP space we've made, and just we're able to do cinematic vistas and longer sight lines, just things that just would totally break the balance of PvP.
Right.
And it's so fun to see.
Is that a question mark coming out the top there? It's like a Super Mario power-up.
For a while,
And then I guess with the longer sight lines and stuff like that,
this has been made for years. It's literally 5-year-old content.
Anyone we should look out for that we don't want to go up against?
There's an artillery unit that he loves to stay away from the player. He's really far away, so using your team comp to balance, like, who needs to deal with the artillery that's further away versus...
Yo, it's Dion got a Cartier Tang watch on.
There's this
I don't know why I randomly know that. I'm sure that's what that watch is. I don't know if you guys can see it, actually. I think I've blocked it out.
Plus the powers that our Overwatch heroes have.
I prefer smartwatch.
That we got from this. I mean,
Yeah, there's
this looks,
Torb's turret.
that
Okay.
looks like Gothenburg to me. I'm not an expert.
Home
but
to Torbjorn.
Yeah, that is Gothenburg. That ain't Rio.
This
What the
looks,
hell? You can't
super
even...
cool. Is this, I guess, this is some of the
Who?
artwork
Right.
like kind of in design.
Anyway,
like,
this looked cool.
A factory, weapon cannon, then Gothenburg.
You'll find out.
You have to play to find out about this guy. But we're trying some new stuff. Torbjorn gains a few new turns.
Could have fixed this in post, whoever the hell was in charge of this video.
Some little tools. cool. It's a little tech advance there.
Show us the boop.
Yeah,
Yes, the boop one.
I mean, the level of detail that you guys put in is just tremendous for this types of content. What is like some of the? And I guess this is a null sector kind of coming in, right? This is kind of like. Do you know where this is?
This is in Rio, so this is what a contest artist named Peter Lee worked on this piece, and we usually try to kind of a little script of what we would like to see within a space. This one's interesting because it started off at night, but we kind of changed the setting, and this is a glimpse of some of the other null sector units. They return fully upgraded and
they're ready to go.
yeah, they're ready to go. Their command ship. This was an iteration.
2022. Yeah, come on. That was in
This has to be
2019's
so fun to work
demo
out.
at BlizzCon.
Because you have obviously that moment.
Okay, maybe
with,
that one was.
Winston's recall, right? And then after that, you guys kind of have an idea where it's going.
It's been a long time coming, but it feels so good to finally just.
It has been a long time
answering
coming.
that question that we created a lot of questions. And we're creating some new questions, but we're getting some
well,
answers
oh.
finally now.
Right.
So it's fun to see this an objective in Toronto here.
Yeah, I think fans are going to be blown away once they see some of the stuff that you guys have been working on. It's been incredible. One of the other things is actually event missions. So story missions, they look amazing, really kind of build on, obviously, the lore, the story of Overwatch. Event missions. So these are, story missions are now the only PvE thing happening.
Right.
Event missions are also coming in.
Oh,
Can
this
you
is the
explain to me a
co-op
little bit
thing, I
about what
think.
event missions are?
Yeah, event missions are new. They're coming with Season 6. They're the highly replayable, repeatable content that you're meant to play after you finish the story missions.
So is this
Oh.
canonical? Is this not?
A little bit of both.
bit of both.
Hang on.
You
Do the
might-
story missions, then
we
these
might
are replayable?
have a canonical mission in there. We might have
Oh.
one that's not. I would say the first one coming out with Season 6 is in that gray area.
Yeah,
Like,
and
maybe not.
And I've seen this location before. This looks
Yes.
like a little bit of an expansion on Kings Row.
Yeah.
Yes. I think some crafty players have seen this in advance.
Oh,
Yeah.
There's sneaky players.
That
Yeah,
little
I think
purple
they've
thing, that
peeped some
placeholder down the
cracks.
bottom.
But it's something we always
some
wanted to
stuff
do is expand on our
So
PvP maps
essentially,
and
these are
build
the
more, given them the
retooled
option. There was a lot of
hero
ideas about
missions.
this. So this
They're
is a
calling
new
them event
branching
missions
path
now,
that
I
we
guess.
used during the event mission
Right.
Yeah, I
in
mean,
Kings Row.
Yeah, the lighting and everything here looks tremendous.
Yeah.
And so what is the gameplay changes between a story mission and an event mission? Like, how should people expect those to play differently?
We have a whole bunch of challenges with story missions. They'll change every week. Also, the hero roster you can choose from will be different. So the gameplay will change from
Some
week to
gameplay
week. Your
modifiers, right? Yeah.
objectives, your challenges.
That'll be
yeah.
super cool. So like a gameplay modifier each week,
Yeah.
with some different new
Hang on.
heroes in the mix, right?
Right.
Oh,
Don't
that should
think
be
they
super
meant
fun, just in terms
story
of, like,
missions there. Did they mean event missions?
replayability and,
Yeah.
this is
said
Underworld,
one a
right?
week.
This
Right.
is kind of like
The first one is called Underworld.
the first one.
Okay, yeah.
And, some same enemies as story.
Modifiers is good
Different?
news, though, because that means that they can keep changing. I think
you'll fight them in new ways.
what they tried to say there is
Okay. So
the event
I
missions will
won't
have
get
modifiers
any,
and they'll change every
tips
week,
and
I
tricks,
think.
Today, in terms of-
Rather than the
in terms of
story
how to
missions
deal
come out
with
every week.
that.
Unless I'm deaf,
These look
and I
actually
totally misread that.
super awesome, and I love the fact that
Because
they're
it's only
like,
3 story
mentioned,
missions.
like replayability, right? In terms of like week to week coming back with a new hero.
Yeah,
roster,
yeah, replayability,
different types
okay.
of modifiers, I assume. With
Yeah.
different enemy modifiers.
Yeah.
Buffs
Right.
or something like that. That'll be super fun. What was the best part about working on this type of stuff? Is it like getting creative with the modifiers and things like that? Like.
Yeah, definitely. And then just figuring out how to make the gameplay really fun when you're playing over and over again. It's something we play like every day, and it always feels different.
Yeah, I guess was the philosophy going in Underworld, was it to build something that's like highly replayable, like
Yeah,
week on week?
exactly. Yeah.
Oh, that's I mean.
Well, obviously, it's not going to just be we're making something that's not replayable.
Because people were wondering, like,
But we're selling
I'm
it
gonna
as
do story, but I want to do like more.
I love these
wanna do
like
all
Blizzard
time, and,
approved questions.
Different difficulties there, and then is this like one difficulty or is it multiple difficulties?
Blizzard
How does
interviews
that-
Blizzard.
There's multiple
yeah.
difficulties.
Yeah.
You know what's cool too is it
Okay.
was fun to revisit the classic PvP map and expand on it. And in PvP, we do place a lot of story, right?
Yeah.
A lot of players pick up on a lot of things we do in the PvP maps that are canon to the story of Overwatch. So Kings Row made a lot of sense to do it as an event
Right.
mission because there's Mondada and
Kings Row.
Yeah, it's
too.
Kings Row
Right.
too, right?
Who's gonna be upset about going back to
Right.
Kings Row?
Right.
Yeah, so A lot of our PvP maps have a lot of story in it, and this is what's so great about finally doing this co-op story missions to help answer some of those tidbits of story that we used to place
Yeah.
Yep.
around the PvP map. So
Totally.
that was a lot of fun just digging into that.
Yeah.
And I just love like the nighttime scary kind
Right.
of look that Kings Row has,
Yeah.
over the top underworld. But another piece of content that's PvE solo playable is Hero Masteries.
Right,
So,
Hero Masteries,
I
okay.
found out about this a little bit ago, and I was like, this looks super cool.
Yeah.
I'm terrible at it. So explain to me a little bit about Hero Masteries.
It's solo content. You're meant to play, by yourself. Maybe it's late at night and you just don't want to stop playing, but it's meant so you can try out.
Hey, there was
heroes.
floating damage text there.
Maybe a hero you haven't played very much or very often, want to get better at, and you can kind of play on your own and learn techniques.
Yeah, so they're just like hero assault courses,
some
basically.
challenges.
Yeah, and I see
With
whoever was doing this one, pretty good. I see the Winston
Not very
primal range
time-intensive
tech,
map
right?
design. 'Cause you don't need
jump
art
in,
assets for this.
primal, and then be able to knock players around.
I mean,
Yeah, and story-wise, Winston basically created a simulation room within Gibraltar, Watchpoint Gibraltar.
okay, that's pretty cool.
For the heroes basically
And
to
you can
hone
train.
their skills.
Yeah, see, that's cool. See, this is the stuff they
know,
should be coming
just
out with
training.
straight
It's
away.
basically a
They
training
should be going, this is
simulator,
like Winston's
holographic
simulation thing. That's what they should be
Winston
calling
training
this.
For our heroes to train, and we use that as a reason why players can train and get better at a hero, or even use it as a way to start learning a new hero, a hero that you haven't played before.
Yeah, that's super awesome. You guys have like woven like the story and the universe into like Hero Masteries, right? And
Right.
they just exist as another thing like in the arcade.
That's cool
right?
as
Like,
well,
this
seeing
kind of-
different
There's
bot
a door in
types.
Gibraltar that leads
Oh.
to this place,
Right.
That's super cool. And then,
Cool.
how did
Room
you
in
guys go
Gibraltar
about?
released this.
I think Kim, you were telling a story about like how this kind of came to be, right?
Well, how it started is a few of us on the team were saying, our kids are starting to want to play Overwatch, and we wanted a safe space for them to learn how to play. That
Yeah, it's cool,
isn't
competitive.
really in the live game.
Solo
Isn't
queue.
ranked play, not learning with how to play with us in
Yes.
live, and I guess one, thank you for creating this space for them to learn and figure out how to play.
Yeah.
And then two, I think it's an awesome tool to be able to for
I mean,
players
to be honest,
train,
like-
right? To be able to kind of learn different.
You learn by
heroes,
playing the game, right? I mean, it's
outside
always
of
been
just playing them in
the age-old thing. We've
Exactly.
always said
If
this,
there's a hero
'Cause you could
that's
sit in
your
the-
favorite, that's great. But now you can play someone new and maybe kind of get to learn the play.
You could sit in the
style.
workshop and just
Find out if you
spam
actually
aim
like,
training or play aim labs or whatever. It's not going to make you better at Overwatch. You've got to play the game.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's very unique in that way.
Every
But whatever,
race
this
you
is
should
cool.
have
It's
to
a little
do
distraction.
minimum
I'm
10
fine with
hours
it.
on the course.
There's a timer I can see up the
It's
top
so
there,
fun to
look.
see other people
And there's
play,
like a score
what they do
multiplier depending on how
compared
fast
to,
you do it.
Your own trials.
Pretty cool.
Exactly.
Like, this is going to be a
Yeah, no,
distraction and it's
I think
okay.
it's super cool. Then, what should we expect when Hero Masteries launch?
So we'll have
One for every
5
hero.
heroes coming out with season 6 mid-cycle.
Okay, 5.
There'll be different heroes you can play. Some will unlock different weeks, and there'll be scoring, so you can compare your score with your friends.
Oh, that'll be cool. Like
So a leaderboard as
little
well.
bit of, like,
So this is
speedrunning type of thing,
Sort
right?
of
Yeah,
like
definitely.
staggered
Yeah, you're
little
able to
content
go
they
in,
can
kind
keep
of
adding
maybe,
to the game over
plot a
time.
way through the course. Where
I mean,
this is gonna
also,
be the
it's
best
better than a
course of action.
souvenir in a
And,
battle pass.
I assume the coins obviously boost your score.
Yeah.
In a battle pass.
And after that,
And
yes.
so does time.
Yeah, and then
Well, no,
this
that's
is
technically
this
not
is the
true. Some
Mercy
battle
one
passes
is,
are okay,
You can tell
but,
that one looks like it's a little bit harder
this one isn't.
Yes.
than the other ones. That
Yes.
one looked like there was different enemies, right? That you're
Right.
able. Is it different enemy types than other modes?
Yeah, so we made a whole new custom set of bots for this mode, and some
That's
are
cool.
specific to certain heroes. So yeah, there's a whole.
I wonder
bunch
if they
of
can be
stuff.
used in workshop
Yeah,
as
that's
well.
awesome that you guys like gamified
Because
this.
I bet you
it's,
workshop.
know,
If
kind
you,
of like a
in
cool
fact,
lore
talking of
piece, a
workshops,
little
they
bit
should
of,
give
like,
this entire
training
system to the
fight,
workshop
null
community
sector, and then
because they'll make
obviously
better mastery
gamified
maps
into, like, a
overnight.
solo
They'll make loads of
PvE
stuff.
Type of play.
A map editor
I've
would be
learned so
sick.
much playing the Mercy
Even if it's
course.
this
I was
basic
surprised
looking
at
thing.
things
Sick.
you could do with Mercy.
Yeah.
Coming out of the Hero Mastery.
Yeah.
I see. It sort of says simulation
tons
as well.
of
That's
stuff,
how it's
right?
cool.
In the arcade, like
Mercy.
you think to like Doom parkour and different
See, look,
things. that,
fully
like, try to
heal
help
friendly
you with, like,
bots. That's the
movement.
mission.
And, yeah,
And
you
you've
can
sort of
already
got to get
tell
to the end of the
that,
course,
so
I
many
suppose.
players, whether
You get
they're
points
new
for
or
killing.
old, are gonna either learn new different types of skills that you can do with some of these heroes, or just
Exactly.
get better at them.
Yeah,
right?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like Mercy, like being able to obviously jump from platform to platform. This person's cheating a little bit using Valve, right? But
That's pretty amazing.
but like trying to do this without it, right? And kind of
Right.
learning like how to kind of launch yourself from platform to platform could definitely improve tons of players' games.
Yeah, exactly. Each hero will have a different difficulty course. So as you change the difficulty, you'll get an entirely different course to play.
Oh, so there's
I'm
okay.
super
So there's
excited. I think
different
you can use
courses for
this
different
as a really
difficulties.
cool, like warm up to a late night after a long day of ranked. Jump into this, try and set a high score. Being able to kind of show off to the rest of your friends. Pretty sweet.
I mean, it's okay, innit? It's
I'm
not
even
blowing me
more excited
away.
than I was, before we started, right? About all the PvE stuff coming in Invasion. What would you guys like to say to the community? What are you guys, most excited for them to get their hands on?
Yeah, I'm finally excited to just get the story missions out there. And the team has worked really hard on this.
It must be so hard on them though.
Finally
Like it's
moving
been years.
the
This is,
canon of Overwatch 4.
and with it constantly being changed and changed over and over again.
This is what we just loved it, and
And then getting
glad it's
rinsed by
finally
upper
making its
management,
way.
deciding how to horrifically
We've
monetization.
put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears
destroy the
into
game.
this content. We've been playing it for years, and we're so excited.
We
to
know,
finally
we've been
be able
playing it
to
for
play
years.
with our friends and everyone in the community.
Yeah, I'm excited to jump into the story, see all the awesome cutscenes, kind of learn more a little bit about where the Overwatch story is going. But thank you guys for both joining me here today in the first part of this. And when we come right back, we're going to have game director Aaron Keller and Daniel McGowan to talk
Flashpoint.
about Flashpoint coming with Invasion. Stay tuned, you don't want to miss that.
Okay, cool.
CSIS Unit 37.
We're going to get an advert now. Well, I suppose the whole thing's an advert, isn't it?
There's something different
I
about
mean-
Null Sector this time.
They've taken over
That
most
little
of the
clip
city
of
and are
Gothenburg
rounding up
was
Omnics.
very basic,
They
very,
need
very
our help.
basic, and I'm really worried that this is just Archives Plus. And I was worried it was Archives Plus years ago, and then they had a talent system, which was meant to not make it Archives Plus, but now they've scrapped it, and they're back to Archives Plus, and that's my issue.
If we can stop Null Sector, maybe we can save the city.
Coming through!
Been a while, Vivian.
As if I didn't have enough problems already.
So we fly up there, smash through anything that gets in our way, and put another business.
I hate to interrupt the moment, but I'm picking up reports of more attacks in other cities.
It's a fight they want. I say let's give it to them.
I hope we get a bit more info on that map, that Junkertown sort of different area of the map.
Oh, yeah! Boom!
The world is counting on us.
Give me the Flashpoint stuff then, Blizz. Yes, there's your Peruvian support hero. Okay, cool. What's this? Oh, it's the... that looks like the arena. Oh.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Matt, Mr. X, and this time I am joined by game director Aaron Keller and principal environment artist Daniel McGowan to take a deeper look into some of the other things coming in Invasion. How you guys doing?
Awesome. So good. Thanks for having us.
No, I mean, I'm super excited to jump into this. Some of the PvE stuff we talked about earlier was super
Which is
exciting.
just
And then
that's
for
what
me,
I'm feeling like
I love
shit.
PvP. So first I want to go into player progression.
man.
I know a lot of people have been talking about it online.
Yeah, what's this? Player
what should
progression.
player
Progression,
look
I should
like?
say.
You may have a little bit of an update.
Yo,
I think
go
I
on.
did
Give us an
update
update.
players on,
Yeah,
on
why
player
not?
progression system. Yeah, so this is going to be coming this August. And our player progression system, it's a little bit different than the one that we had in the original Overwatch, which was just a player level system. This time what
Okay,
we really
what's
want
this?
to do is we want to recognize people playing the game, but also recognize the way that they play the game. So as people jump in and
Ooh,
start
I like
playing
this.
in almost any of our game modes, they'll start earning experience in this new system. And what they do is they earn it per hero. And we'll be tracking their play style through a lot of different categories. So it might be things like games played, or damage done, damage mitigated, and healing done.
This is the sort of thing that should have launched with Overwatch 2.
You'll level up that particular category and earn an emblem for that hero. And you can continue to earn more emblems for your heroes. And as you do that, they will like upgrade your hero's level. And so you'll start getting these badges for your heroes. And the interesting thing about it is you can go into your career profile, check out the progression section, and kind of get a story for the way that your particular hero plays the game.
This is cool.
An interesting detail here is that we don't cap the amount of experience that you can get in any category. And the reason why we do that is we don't want to incentivize you to play it in any particular way in order to fill out your player progression system in a certain way. We really want it to be about your own play style and to have everybody's own player progression board to be a unique reflection of the way that they play that hero. And then on top of all that, we're going to be rewarding name cards through this system. And so as you progress through the different categories, let's say you're playing Reinhardt, you'll unlock a Reinhardt name card. But then as you level Reinhardt up more, you're going to unlock higher level versions of those name cards. It's the first time we've really had a customizable name card like this.
Yeah, I mean, that's really awesome for people to be able to show off.
I mean, that's cool, and this sounds cool, but I like
a certain hero, or you're playing just one hero all the time, right? You can show people.
Surely this could have been plugged into like the golden weapon system and made it better, you know, like sort of.
I want to talk about Flashpoint.
Special adornments to weapons and things like that. I don't know, or special skins. I don't know. Maybe it's too much effort.
Before we jump into like some of the details of the mode, tell us a little bit about just kind of the basic
that was cool, though.
Flashpoint play.
Sure. So Flashpoint is our newest game mode. It's coming during Overwatch 2 Invasion. It takes place on some of the largest maps that we've ever built for Overwatch. And the way that you play game mode is the objective for each team is to be the first team to score 3 points. And the way you score a point is you fully capture an objective on the map. When you first start in Flashpoint, you'll be in the spawn room, and we'll randomly choose one of the objectives on the map. And when the spawn doors open, everybody runs out. They go to that first capture point. The capture points work similar to the way they do in Control.
Yeah, this just looks like a massive Control map.
You can gain ownership of it very quickly, but then you have to tick all the way up to 100% before you fully own the thing and score a point.
Okay.
The interesting thing about the mode, though, is this is where everything kind of changes. So when a team caps that, what'll happen is we'll randomly select one of the remaining control points and activate that one.
What happens if that's close
like
to your spawn?
They're really big. So now you'll have these 2 teams typically traveling in a parallel path to the next capture point.
This looks incredible, by the way.
This is an amazing, amazing point.
I will be honest, this does sound really fun.
You'll go to a point like that, but you'll be traveling next to the enemy team. So you have all these options. Do you want to interact with the team there? Do you want to try to get an early pick, or maybe an early team fight win so you can capture the next point easier? Do you maybe just want to try to protect positioning? So maybe you're just going to try to get to the next point quickly in order to get high ground on it and force the enemy team to kind of.
This sounds pretty good, actually. This sounds like a really fun mode.
Advantageous route, and then you'll fight over the next control point, and you'll keep doing that until one of the teams gets 3 points, and they'll win the match.
Yeah, and I got to say, Daniel, the art looks amazing. How difficult was it tackling? Like, these maps are massive, like truly massive. How difficult was it tackling, like, hey, we want to keep that Overwatch level of detail, style across these large maps? I mean,
that does look pretty good behind him, though.
Some of the landscapes we're going to have to play with.
Yeah, well, first it took a whole team effort and a lot of passionate people, but we really tried to push the bar as much as we could with these maps, right? They're much larger than any other maps that we've built to date. And it actually allows us to bring in a lot more themes, right? So we can push more narrative. We can show you
these do look
elements
really good.
of that culture that you've never seen before, right? For example, in Junk City, you might even be able to see where the demolitionist faction reside, right? The center arena, the hammer mill. So, yeah, we put in a lot of love, and getting it to all fit was very tricky. But we didn't want to drop that Blizzard quality bar at all. So.
It's got to be really cool to be able to kind of explore, we have Junkertown, right? But that's just a pretty linear path, right? The game tells you where the cart goes, you follow the cart. Now with these like wide open landscapes, it must be super fun to jump in with the team and ideate on like how a really kind of like junk city looks, right?
Exactly. We, the fans love Junkertown, the developers, we love Junkertown, and we have some great cinematics, and we really wanted to explore this fantasy a bit deeper. And so we had to ask ourselves some really cool questions about, we know what the town looks like, but what if the city, if you're in the heart of it, right on top of the Omnium core, what would those vistas look like? And I mean,
this map does look massive.
What? In terms of gameplay, like Aaron, like how do the points, different, right? Obviously we have control as is now, but now with these like large maps, right, you can create different types of points.
It's basically 3 control points glued together, isn't it, in map size? And you just play on it all at the same time.
These maps are totally different than anything that we've built before. And they're a big non-linear space, and they're also a quasi-symmetrical layout as well. And so there's a lot of challenges with building these maps. As I said earlier, they each have 5 control points. And when we develop new game modes, especially game modes for quick play ranked and for esports players to play on, one of our top goals is to make sure that they're competitive, that they're balanced, and that they're fair. So every one of the control point areas in these maps have a symmetrical layout. It works similar to the way we do control. So each team has the same entrances to it. They have the same amount of cover, the same access to high ground, and even the same run times from their spawn room. And we do that very intentionally to make the map fair.
Okay.
But then on top of that, when you have all 5 of these in one big space, as you start moving,
this is way more interesting than PvE stuff, honestly.
Then the map starts getting
sort of
less symmetrical, and it's more about all the connecting routes that you have between the space, because sometimes you might be going from one of the capture points that's closest to the enemy team side, and you're pulling back
I really
to
want to
yours.
play this
or
now.
Sometimes
I
you
really
might
want
be
to play
in one
this.
corner, going all the way across to the other corner of the map, and it's a really long journey. And one of our priorities is to always make it so that players kind of recognize where they are in the map and recognize where they're supposed to go in the map. And so as you move from one point to the other and you see that next objective, I think that we spend a lot of time in that flow along the streets and to that next point of interest that you're supposed to go to. And those are all like a lot of the challenges. There's a lot more that I could talk about with building this particular game mode.
Yeah, and we get clips here of Stylosa, one of the maps here for Flashpoint. Daniel, I gotta ask, like when you kind of get this,
I wonder how long
design,
it took for this to get made, though. Like, I mean, this is massive.
When you guys jump in, like, how do you help, in terms of art, like having players identify like where they are? Because like Aaron mentioned, I mean,
and there's just 2 maps for
have
this.
Stylosa,
Stylosa and
it's such a large, expansive map.
New Junkertown.
It's tricky. We have to be very careful with our sight lines for performance and gameplay and things like that. And so what we did is we designed into each of the points very large, recognizable elements that you can see from basically anywhere, right? So the center market has a giant tower that you can use to center yourself and find out where you are, right?
See, they do very much like,
goes up
they
into
just
the
look like
sky.
individual capture points, don't they,
when
you go into the arena?
Giving the players
that's obviously a point there, and we're going to move to another one now.
Use to orient themselves within the
and there's like a little connecting bit
I'm
of
super stoked for this mode, especially once we see high-level teams and players.
I mean, this just looks mad. This looks like it should be 10-a-side, not 5v5.
A player who maybe can like lurk in some of those like parts of the map, right, and try and get those pickoffs.
And people are going to get lost getting to the other point. Like a point unlocks. It's like I don't know where I'm going. Oh no!
Really kind of like bunker down with a Baptiste. How did this game mode come to life, Aaron?
That's a great question. And like to just kind of like touch on what you were talking about there too, since these maps are so big, there are so many little cool locations that you can go to. And I think that like a core skill for an FPS shooter is map knowledge.
Yeah.
It's not just about aiming. Overwatch's not just about also team play and ability usage. It's about learning the map. These maps are a lot bigger than anything we've built before. So we think there's probably going to be a longer tail to this learning curve. So it might be a little bit more intimidating to jump into a map like this, but at the same time, I think that there's this process that you
it's move in the middle of the map.
learning it and getting better and better over time on one of these maps.
Yeah, I think you'll see lots of really
Okay,
cool
let's
stuff.
look at this.
You know,
So,
like, what's the best way to rotate from one point to the other, right? If you know a team is spawning in one spot, is this the best route to take, or maybe you take a little bit of a safer route? Is
Alt,
this the other
just
one
alt,
to kind
what
of
you
work
doing?
on? I think there's a ton of. When we see it with Push, right? Push came out, was played a certain way, and then over time that's like changed. I think with a mode like this, and I mean, you see where you can fight in all these different awesome locations.
this looks crazy. This is
I
like,
think it'll definitely change.
just
over
fighting in a
time.
different place all
definitely.
the
Okay,
time.
Sorry, jumping back to like how we developed this mode too. I think that developing new game modes for Overwatch is something that we have started to recognize.
Again, I just wish this was made years ago. Like, I don't know why
running the live
it's so
game.
long.
And if you think about the way players experience our game, you select a hero,
Yeah.
you load into a map that plays a particular game mode, and all of our maps are like that. All of our maps are built for very specific game modes, and when you have that sort of constraint on you, when you develop a new payload map, for example, there's only going to be a certain amount of things that you do for a map like that. They're very linear, they're cut into 3 sections, they have a certain amount of like choke points and run back times. From the
Halo, I thought you said Halo map. I was like, Halo.
To create an experience that feels a lot different to players on a map requires a new game mode. And so that was our intention here, was to not just build some new maps, but to
The UI
start
looks funky, doesn't it, in the
evolving
top middle as
Overwatch
well.
into the future by building new game modes. These are the sorts of things that we would like to continue to do for the game. And when you start looking at
don't know what this Genji's
our game
doing.
can be years down the line, as we're releasing things like story missions.
I mean, that just
we're
looks
releasing new heroes,
like,
new game
that looks
modes, new
impossible
maps,
to spectate
and
as well for like
3 to 5 years in
esports.
the
Well, who
future,
cares about Overwatch
is a much
esports?
bigger,
So
much
I
more
don't
expansive,
care,
much
and
more
I think that this
involved
looks.
experience than you have today.
I think this looks pretty good actually. I think this is the best thing they've
just,
shown us.
Seeing some of these locations and like building upon the
The
story,
PvE
like
stuff
we were
looked
talking about,
shite. It looked like
in the past in PvE,
some
right? With,
basic-
like, expanding
What the
King's
hell?
Row, and like obviously we have a Junkertown map, and then see like new Junk City. It's got to be fun, Daniel, for you guys to look and be like, okay, what can we expand on, right, and show more. Of
But
that
maybe the
side of things.
PvE will be,
Absolutely.
it's obviously going to
In
be full of
Junk City, for
cinematics
example,
and that. So
you can actually see Junkertown in the
I mean, the
Vista,
story missions,
right? We've
there.
tried to give some kind of connection to those and call back to the original map because it was so influential. But we can't talk about Junk City without talking about India first. And that one, we built that as an assault map originally, but when we cut to CP, we decided it'd be a perfect opportunity for Flashpoint because we really wanted to represent that location in our world. So that was the first one we built, and we learned a lot.
man, the
which we
development of
took
this
to
game
Junk
has been
City.
horrible, hasn't
Right.
it?
Yeah, that's
I need
that's
the
super
full
cool, 'cause,
breakdown.
Yeah,
Somebody leak it me.
I've seen Stylosa firsthand, and just the locations, I mean, are beautiful. I mean, we just kind of had it on the big screen behind me, but like, man, it looks so good, and all the locations are so different from each other. I think that's one of the things that I really kind of take when I see some of the footage and watch, is that every point in this feels different, but then also every game also feels different, right? Because as you were mentioning before, you're kind of traveling through different parts of the map that you may not experience all the time.
Yeah, because the points are selected randomly in this game mode. And so you might start in the far right corner and then pull back to the near left corner.
I mean, this is
But
going to end up with like,
sometimes
oh,
you're
we
going
got
to
the
go
bad
in a completely
point,
different
so the
order.
map's trash.
there's
You know
a
what I
lot of
mean?
combinatorics in learning how to not just play the mode, but in learning like, hey, if we're going to be going from this point to that point, what's the right route to take? What are we going to do if the enemy team does this? Or, hey, we think we saw that Brigida alone over there. Maybe we take the opportunity to go over there and try to get an easy pick for us. And there's a lot of different things that you can be thinking about and doing just as you're learning how to play the mode and learning how to move around the map.
And I think we see it when
I mean, it does look like an Overwatch mode. You know what I mean? It looks hectic.
The top-down POV of just how expansive, how
I need to
big
play
these
this.
maps
I really
are.
need to play this. This looks like
Daniel,
it could be
kinda
really good.
What should people expect at home, like for how the sizes of a map like this? Like,
I think people are going to be really impressed. I mean, these maps are so big, we're able to pack more theming and more narrative into these than any of our other maps, right? I mean, you're going to see things like omnic temples, marketplaces, refineries, palaces, gardens, you name it. We're all over. So
I hope my teammates don't get distracted going from point to point with all the story and lore you guys have packed into some of these.
Yeah, it's
like,
interesting.
Hey, the point.
It's like being in the Hanamura arcade, right?
Right,
It's hard to get out of that spawn room. But a lot of these maps, they are connected to our lore. Suravasa Mondada's learning sensor was built near Stylosa, you know.
Okay.
Mondada was Mondada's teacher. And so we have a lot of the maps that we are building now, a lot of the maps in Overwatch 2, even though we might not have communicated it yet to players, they're all involved in the story that we want to be telling starting in Season 6 with our story missions, but going into the future. So like, I'm kind of excited for people to, you know, like later down the line, jump into one of these places and be like, oh, I see how that was connected. That's really neat.
Right, and to just see, just the expansiveness, right, and just how big the,
I feel like when Overwatch 2 launched, I should have just went AFK for 3 years, then come back, and that would be the launch of Overwatch 2 in some respect.
That had to be really
just without the talent.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of back and forth. We had some really good support from our tech art and our engineers. And we had to solve
I've still got no idea
a
what
lot of
tech
development
art
problems,
even is.
right? Getting everything to fit in memory. You can, teleport from one end of the map to the other at any given moment, right? With certain characters, and so.
My guy, the scale man, he's out.
Yeah, there he
he's
is.
out.
Yep. See behind the curtain a little bit,
You have to have those, or you build something just way too big.
It's so incredible to see this stuff, like just that turns into.
This is cool though. I do like seeing this. I really do.
We stick as
Blizzard
close as we
always generally
can
do
to
a
the
decent job at this.
Out to maintain the
But
integrity.
you can see where the hero mission
the fun is found.
Texture pack
right?
comes
and we
from.
want to make sure that we amplify that, not distract or break.
Yeah, it's really gameplay first, right? And then how can we go about and like support that with the art and whatnot.
I like that.
Yeah, gameplay first.
Yeah,
that was cool.
Way to go.
Doesn't it say that around the statue at Blizzard?
Thank you guys so much for joining me here today.
Like
Flashpoint, player progression, both look amazing. Anything you want to say before we head out?
Yeah, I mean, one, thank you for having us. Thank you for letting us talk about Overwatch 2 Invasion. It's a season that we're like so incredibly excited about, and it's not just because of Flashpoint or the progression system or the story missions or hero mastery. We have a new hero coming out that season. We have an event mission for people to play. We have another
Look at that map.
later in
Look
the
at the
season
size of that map
like
behind him.
So
what
much
the hell?
As a part of this season. We're so excited for it. So yeah, I think we could probably talk about this all day if you let us. So thank you.
Oh man, I still like look at the scenery behind this. I mean, Stylosa is going to be a whole lot of fun to play.
Yeah.
Dana, anything you want to say before we go?
I just can't wait to get this in front of people and play this with my friends and hear what the community thinks.
Yeah, I think they're going to be super excited
it's like
to be able to
bloody
jump into
buzzword community.
PvP,
what did the community think?
Coming in Overwatch 2 Invasion. But that's going to be it for us for the Overwatch 2 Invasion reveal stream. Thanks so much for joining us. Also, Season 5 out now. Jump in and play it. Get ready. August 10th kicks off Invasion. We'll see you there.
Okay, so let's just lay some thoughts down after watching that. This Season 6 or season Overwatch 2 Invasion is essentially the launch of Overwatch 2. Or kind of what they wanted to launch with. Obviously, with things cut, we don't have talent systems coming into the game with any sort of hero missions. But instead of that, we do get well, you can see that they've kind of showed us a progression system off there to try and fill that gap of like, well, where is the replayability here? Where's the progression, right? Talents were going to be progression. They've been removed. Hero missions have been removed. However, there is now a sort of upgraded, almost character portrait system where it looked like you could sort of level specific things, so like shatter kills with Reinhardt, things like that, and they just endlessly level up, which I think is pretty cool. And also the UI like graphics look pretty decent for that section. The PvE stuff they showed, honestly, it looked basic. They didn't really show us any. I mean, I understand they don't want to spoil things for us, but I would have liked it if they actually showed us the start of that mission, the Gothenburg mission. Maybe just show us 15 minutes of the mission, because if they say the missions last 30 minutes, well, just give us a 15-minute play. Would have been a lot more interesting in it, instead of these like really dodgy development shots and the bot dropping, the big Titan bot, and then firing at the building and a bit dropped off. It looked like a PlayStation 1 game. It's like, what the hell is this? Like, that doesn't make me think this looks amazing. Apart from that, the rest of the stuff they showed from Rio looked like the stuff that was out back in 2019. So again, not much there. And then we move on to the co-op event missions, I guess. So these are sort of the rehashing. Well, it's not really the rehashing, but it's the reusing of assets that have been built for hero missions. What I liked about this is I think what they were saying is every week they're going to change the modifier. Now, I think the modifier will be a special thing that the enemies do. Now, we've seen this again back in Overwatch Archives, where you would get things like you kill an enemy bot and it drops a pool of Torbjorn's lava, right? There's things like that, or they do extra damage, but they've got less health, or they've got less health, they do extra damage, things like that. Yeah, I think they're okay, and I think they could be quite creative with that. But again, it depends on what that mode's actually like, and there's not really that much of New King's Row. You know, like if you go and load up the King's Row map and have a look at it, there's not that much there. Now, they could have added extra bits to it, or maybe they're just going to use all of the map and you end up going through that. I don't know. Again, that's sort of okay. The hero mastery stuff, which I almost completely forgot about, I think I'm just going to completely forget about anyway when that comes out, because it looks like an attempt to go, oh, but wait, if you really like whatever hero, then it looked like they showed Mercy, Tracer, Reinhardt, and I'm probably forgetting some others there, but they only said there's going to be 5 available, but I do think there's going to be 3 for each one. So there's, no, there might be more actually, because no, I think that maybe they said 3, I'm not sure, but for different difficulties. I was just getting sort of, you know, easy, normal, and hard in my head, but I know that they use a different system for the PvE stuff anyway, because you get the sort of hard and then legendary, don't you, and all that stuff. So maybe they do that, I don't know. But they just look forgettable to me. It's like, I'm not going to sit there and play the soldier one. I might look at it and go through it once, but I'm not going to keep playing that. It's not really... It's like, calling it low-effort content, it is offensive, really, to the people who have built it. But it is content that is like... It's sort of in between workshop and game dev level, it almost felt like. It was odd. I feel like if I look at something and think workshop developers can just recreate that and do a better job than what Blizzard have done, it doesn't feel great. That would have been a better piece to me if they were like, hey, we've got a basic map editor, so you can build these systems if you want in the workshop. I don't know. But yeah, anyway, I think the big takeaway from all of that, which came as a bit of a shock, was the Flashpoint stuff. So I have not seen Flashpoint to that extent before. Now, the idea of multiple capture points and them all being on one massive map is a cool idea. What I think kind of worries me a little bit is the random nature of this. So, you know, you've got 2 spawn rooms. What happens if this control point activates? These guys here can just walk to that spawn room. These guys have got to run to the spawn room. And then what happens if you capture it and then it spawns here? You know, so these guys have been shafted on double spawns. It's like, and then the next one's, you know what I mean? I don't know. Like, I don't know how the maps work. I don't know how they're spaced out. Maybe they're more sort of centralized. I don't know. But it looked cool, right? It looked like, for the first time, changing the way competitive is played, because it's a new core game mode. And I think as well, that, to me, sort of did reignite a little bit of the Overwatch. You know, it's really hard for me to explain this, but I remember like when Overwatch came out, the feeling of like, I can't believe this is incredible. You were just enjoying everything. Even throughout the years, there were updates, you know, they still, you know, I remember the Blackwatch update. It was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I can't believe this is in the game. You know, so there's moments like that. But recently, there's just been a lot of like, oh, this is trash, or this is cash grab, or this once beloved game has been butchered for short-term monetary gain and all this shit. And it's frustrating as hell. So I think there was some interesting bits there, but I think the PvE just looked not great at all, to be honest. It really did look like Archives Plus. I hate to say it, but that's what it looked like to me. Flashpoint looked interesting, though. But I want you guys to let me know what you think about this in the comments below. And, yeah, we'll see what happens in the future. All right, guys. Thank you for listening and watching the video. And I'll catch you lovely lot on the next one. See you soon.